Hey guys, this is part two of the APL podcast, episode number three. Moving on, I think a lot of people, especially in 11th and 12th, seem to be struggling with time management, preparing for standardized tests, academics, trying to find their wow factors, extracurriculars, essays. Is there a particular routine you guys followed? If not, how did you manage your time? Because I'm finding it impossible here to do so many things at like a time, I like now, especially now. So, do you have any tips or anything you might want to share? Harshian.
Yes, I can actually be of value here because I think I did manage my time pretty well. If I had my priorities right, it would be even better. But point is, so there are 5 tips I've noted down in terms of time management. First, I think probably the most important one is something I realized over all of high school, which is that the time I was most productive is when I had the most work. When I had 2 things that I needed to work on, I didn't work on either of them. But when I had 12 things to work on, I had like an MUN to prepare for, and I didn't have enough sleep that day, and I needed to exercise so I can practice for this tournament where I'm going to go for. I had to do all of that. I did all of them perfectly, right? So I searched it up. It's called Parkinson's law of time management, which is that your work expands to fill the amount of time you actually allot for it. And I think that that's very accurate. So keep in mind that like don't say I'm not going to do this because I don't have the time for it, or it's not going to work right now, unless you have like say medical issues, right? There I totally get it. But otherwise, just keep there's no real overloading yourself with anything. Like Nishka mentioned earlier, it's just like I figured it out, right? And that's just kind of how it works. Second is at least what helped me. It is I have to do something I enjoy, even if it's like 5 minutes now. I have to do something I enjoy on any day. This can be right before my board exam that I hadn't prepared for. Whatever it is, I should do something I enjoy, even if, or whatever the case. And ideally, if possible, enjoy whatever you're studying for. You might sometimes have taken a subject that you didn't realize how hard it was. Yeah. But try and enjoy it as much as you can, because that makes it a lot easier. You don't have to like use your willpower on that. You can just have fun. And a few other things which are that, it's only 4 points, shit. But a few other things which are do whatever help you maintain yourself, right? So one thing is that, for instance, I was studying for economics. What helped me a lot was studied economics, classical studies, physics, and math, right? In English, of course. Yeah. But what I made sure to do was, even when I was studying extra for economics and classical studies, I did a little bit of physics, I did a little bit of maths, just to make sure that I wasn't completely lost, right? And I think that that's very helpful. Other things that you might help you, right? So spend time with your family and your friends. If you exercise and that's a habit that really helps you, go ahead and do that. If there's some hobby you like, do a little bit of it, right? Like for me, I went from exercising for multiple hours in the day to doing 15 minutes of exercise. But it helped me a lot during my board exams because it just felt like everything's normal and there's no reason to get stressed. And this last one, I actually collected data about myself for it. So I can be very definitive in that answer, which is that make sure you have a routine for times that can be thrown off very easily. So first, most important one to me is like as soon as I wake up, because as soon as I wake up, I have a tendency to just laze around. If you have a routine right then to like do 3 things, then you'll kind of get into your day much faster and you don't waste a lot of time. Other times are like before bed, so that sometimes I'd sleep at 12 o'clock when I wanted to sleep at like 9, and after lunch generally most of us tend to feel sleepy. So at those times, if you have a routine, I think that's more or less sufficient, as long as you know what you have to do for the week and that. Just make sure you have specific things at these times. But those are my tips for time management.
Okay, thank you for telling us. What about Meghna? Did you like have like
only one thing,
Did you like have like a timetable kind of thing, or like you just went like prioritized stuff and like just like ticked it like, oh yeah, I'm done with this now, tick, or like something like that?
No, I can't just go with the flow. I think I need everything to be organized for me to actually follow something. So there's only one thing I usually swear by, and it's telling everyone to time block. You just get a planner, or my personal favorite is to use Google Calendar. And then the night before, I usually just write down all the tasks I need to get done the next day. And then I put them all into my Google Calendar with the time I do each task. Okay. Like leave random gaps for like meals and stuff. But like I was really strict with my schedule. So I would do like 12 tasks a day and I put them all back to back. So even if I miss out one, I'm like severely behind schedule. So eventually like the pressure sets in, and then you're going to get into the mode of working because you'll be so far behind that you just need to get everything done in time. So that worked for me because I had everything organized like visually with different colors and stuff. So each task would have a different color, and then
Okay, yeah.
you want to work. So I think for people who like to organize their day and plan everything out before, using a planner and like time blocking your day could really work.
Okay, I'm actually like that as well. I can't like be like, okay, I have to do this, and then like just not have anything written down. Like I have to like be able to like cross that out or like tick it or something, because I mean it's satisfying as well. Like, you know, once you completed something, you just tick it off and like, you know, you strike it off. But like, yeah. What about you, Nishka?
Yeah, so I'm a planner, definitely. Like Meghna mentioned, I have a little to-do list book, and I make a list every day. I think that keeps me productive because I feel like every single day I have things to do. But like you said, there's too many things to do, and I sort of get in the middle. I sort of ended up going in this sort of over planning mode where I'd need to account for every minute of my day if I had to achieve my to-do list, right? And that never, I mean, at least for me, it didn't work. And then my mom gave me the best piece of advice anyone's given me, which is to take things one day at a time. I know that sounds counterproductive, but what she basically meant was, if in a few days you have the ACT, you will work on the ACT. You will time block, section everything around the ACT. Because like Meghna said, there's a zone that you get into when you're working and you're doing like, paper after paper, and you're reviewing things. And I think it's very difficult to get into the zone if you're prioritizing too many things. When I'm trying to do one thing, I'm writing an essay, I'm also thinking about my extracurriculars, I'm also thinking about an upcoming test. I'm not in the zone for any of them. So basically, most things have deadlines. So you look at the closest deadline. That's my goal right now. I'm going, maybe I can do my extracurricular next week. Right now, I'm going to do SAT past papers. And that's kind of how I've got things done. I just, it's one thing after the other. It's important to balance things out. Like Harsh mentioned, doing sports. Like I did music classes and tennis and everything during like right after my board exams as well, because it was very helpful. I couldn't just sit in one place. You're not very productive when you're sitting on a desk for 6 hours in a row. You're going to zone out at some point, and it's very productive to go do something, rejuvenate yourself, come back, and you're going to have a much more productive 2 hours than you would have had a sort of stale 6 hours. So
you're right, yeah.
So just like, you need to check, like figure out, like right now I'm doing nothing. I'm just staring at my screen and doing nothing. Get up, do something else. Ideally, you have a lot to do. And when you come back to it, you'll be a lot better. So yeah, that's the few things I'd say. I think one is to just focus on one deadline at a time. Plan that, but one at a time. And the other thing is to, make a habit of balancing things out, because that's how it's going to be in real life as well. You're never going to get just one test and you only do one test, right? You're always going to have a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
So learn how to balance your time.
Okay. Tami, do you have something to add?
I think I'm built a little different from all the others, but I don't organize as such. I don't have a diary. I don't follow a calendar. It's a bit spontaneous for me. But as all of them mentioned, you definitely have to get into the zone. So like, what my dad told me was something called a pressure scale. So you always work optimum in a certain area of the pressure scale. So I usually work better when it's like 6 to 7 pressure on a scale of 10. So if I start making a presentation like a week or like 2 weeks ago, I'll probably just be goofing around, trying to play with animations and stuff like that, and not actually make the presentation. And the quality of the presentation will not be good as well.
Yeah.
But if I start like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, or maybe even 3 days ago sometimes, it kind of helps me with the productivity, because I know my deadline is in like 3 days and I'm focused on what I have to do alone. So I don't have time for other things to get distracted. And
I'm kind of like that as well. Like I work better when I'm under pressure, and like when I have
really
like a time limit kind of thing. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just saying it's really important to figure out the optimum pressure. So like if you are pressured too much as well, so like if it goes like 9 or 10, then you'll obviously drop in quality and productivity. But it's really important to figure out the correct the correct pressure amount. So that is one thing. The other is just don't keep everything till the last day. Do a little bit of everything, like Harsh mentioned. So even if an economics exam is coming up like tomorrow, maybe study a little physics. So it gives you a change, and it obviously helps you divert your mind so you can again study economics better. So always do something that you like. Don't stress yourself too much right before the exam, because every day before the exam I would just watch a movie and not study at all. But I guess that's me.
Okay.
So
I
don't take my
really
word
would
for it.
I would really take, no, I would actually take your word for it more than anyone else's, because I've never seen you like stressed out, and I've always seen you very chill.
Same.
So
Whenever, exactly same. I've never seen you like stressed out at school, ever.
I don't know. I think I'm just built like that, so I don't organize stuff, and it just goes the way I want it. But it's again personal choice. So you should always figure out what works for you best. Listen to music, play sports. Sports really helps, because like I used to get up at 5 and just play, because during the day I would want to study, so I would especially get up to play, and that was a motivation for me. So always have a motivation factor as well if you want to get things done.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So, what were your wow factors, extracurriculars, and awards like? And were they all, and is it needed that all of them have to be something that you've achieved at the national or international level?
I want to preempt you before you say Harsh, do you have anything to say about that?
That's why I didn't say anything
but-
this time.
Yeah, the term wow factor seems a bit confusing to me. But at least in my head, the way I thought about it was, hey, what I'm doing is eventually to create value for whoever it is later on in the future, right? So if I'm doing something right now, the only way I'm thinking about in terms of a college application is what will the college get value from if one of their students is doing XYZ. And I think that's just the easiest way to think about it. You don't need to do something at a national level. But if the college is able to see that, hey, this person is going to be able to use our facilities really, really well. Like say, for instance, there's someone who, like in economics, one big factor is if you're able to do research. And if you're able to take data and make conclusions based off of that, that's extremely valuable to a college, because they're like, hey, we have so much equipment for all of this. We have so many chances to do many of these things. We can give students so many chances to do many of these things. If this guy is figuring it out by himself, he can really make use of our resources very well. So I think that's the easiest way to think about it. Like you don't need to cure cancer unless you want to go to Harvard or something like that. Until then, like I think do what you enjoy and are in some ways passionate about. Do some things that essentially can be of value to other people, and I think that's more or less it. Right? If you're able to do that, then you're fine. Like really, no need to do something crazy. For me, it was like I was doing MUN and whatnot, but I also tried to do some research, which was helpful when I applied to college. So things like that are kind of what you might want to aim.
Okay, but did you get like any national or international level awards?
I don't think so. No, I didn't. Nothing that's not academic, right? But it's perfectly fine, right? I would love to have got some international national award, but unfortunately not that good. But I do think that like that's not necessarily what colleges are looking for, right? And especially since like looking at this from India, we don't have as many chances for a lot of extracurriculars, so they recognize that they're not pitting you against everyone from everywhere around the world. They're pitting you against people from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and you have to in recognizing that you have to say, hey, what value can I bring? So some of the research I did was on essentially water usage after a drought that was there, and I did some research along with an internship that I did, and it was that was some kind of value that I was getting.
Okay, right? So I gave you
and that's not a national thing. It wasn't anything too fancy, right? Like anyone, you don't have to be an economics student. You can figure it out in 30 minutes, right? If you get an explanation or whatnot, it's very simple. But again, it's just trying to be of value to other people and or to other organizations. That's all you need to do.
Okay. What about you, Meghna?
See, the problem with applications in the US, at least, is that you never really know what actually got you in. So it could have been anything in my application, but I think personally for me, I think it was that I was very focused on what I wanted to do, and all of my extracurriculars were kind of based on the fact that I was going to study biology in college. So I kind of went on and focused in a section in biology. So I made all of my internships focus on like neurobiology and the genetic side. and I'm going to be specializing in neurobiology in college as well. So I think I kind of reached out to a few people, and I did a few courses in like neurobiology and stuff. And then eventually I got like a research position with IIT Madras in their computational neuroscience department. And then I was able to like publish something with them, a paper with them on something they were working on. So I think people talk about that as your spike, and like if you look at the Reddit page and College Confidential and stuff, people are always talking about your spike and what you're going to be focusing on throughout your applications. And while that's not necessary, it was kind of what I had going for me because I didn't have any like national or international awards or anything. I was just kind of committed to what I wanted to do, and then I made sure everything I worked for was towards that end goal. So I think if you look at my entire application as a whole, it kind of showed that I was focused on what I wanted to do, and I worked towards that. So I think that was what my wow factor was.
Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. What about you, Nishka?
So I think if you do a lot of college research, you're going to it's a very helpful phrase because like Meghna said, her narrative was that she is really, really passionate about biology, and so she found all these different avenues to to explore neurobiology. So my thing was I've always really liked language, because I can study both things, hopefully. So I love biology, obviously, and I also love writing and debates and that whole environment as well. So that was kind of my narrative as well. I've done a lot of stuff like you asked about awards. I think most of my awards are within that. Like I won a debate competition that was it was I think was one of the highlights of this one. But that was again within debate, and I've done like the Trinity communication things, and I've done I write for the journal, which is like some sort of nice in between where I it's me pursuing science, but it's also me exploring writing. So that's the narrative I built for myself. So if it's not about, you asked about national, international level. I think that's possible if it's more about looking out for opportunity, but I think it's more important that it makes sense, fits in with what you're saying. Like you can't say, I won singing competition, now I was 2 years old. Like that's not relevant, right? But if you had a passion for singing, I love how, I don't know, the creative side is juxtaposed with the technicalities of sheet music, whatever. There's all sorts of stuff you can write about music. And then you say I've done, like some music qualifications when I performed. Even if you say I performed for my family on someone's birthday, and I translated my love for music to my love for my family, that's an insane story. That's going to be a lot more valuable than you winning some random competition at some point, right? So, if you can, obviously, like a good scale doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt. You can always say I have, at the city level, at the national level, international. But if you don't have those opportunities, then there's always something you can do within your community that's really personal to you, and that's the more relevant achievement, I feel.
Okay, wait, but I also want to add that I heard that you received an award from the vice president, if I'm not wrong. Congratulations on that. Would you like to share like how that happened and like for what you got the award for?
Thank you for
welcome.
So it was a scholarship by the Times Group. I did the same scholarship last year, and it was basically reading comprehension / interview based. So they published an article in the newspaper every single day. You read it, you remember it, and then at the end they have like a reading comprehension type exam. And once you pass that, they have an interview round, and then you pass the interview, and then you get the scholarship, right? So first year was nice, taking a check. Second year, sent us a mail out of nowhere saying the vice president of India is going to be facilitating this award. So time. I'm like, I'm going to show up in like half an hour or what. But so again, maybe because it was associated with such a big group, I didn't look up vice president scholarships as something I did. It just happened, and I'm very grateful for it. But this is again one of those, like, it's a national level scholarship, right? So getting through from that, like, one of the best things about India is that the numbers are just always amazing. So you're always one among a huge group. So take advantage.
True, yeah.
But so I was very humbled. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tell me, what about you?
We have someone who's got national awards.
I would love to congratulate Nishka first of all. Yay. But I think the first step to like figuring out a wow factor is to stop comparing yourself with someone else. I think that plays a major role in figuring out what is your personal wow factor. And it is not as always important to like probably get an award in a national level or something like that, but it's always good to participate because I attended a UN conference that was national level, and I can say I won a lucky draw over there. That can be an award. But like, yeah, it is, you get it. So you should always focus on participating. I think that brings more value to your application. And you should never always feel that anything is too small. So I even listed out like eco chef competition that I won in our inter-house competitions. So a wow factor can be anything. You just have to be proud about it. So yeah, you could have anything listed on it. Just have the pride to own up to it.
Okay, yeah. I personally really wanted to know about this because you can't really take everything you do to a national or international level, right? But at the same time, I think college admissions officers look at the amount of time and rigor of the activity you did and your passion for it. So since you guys have different majors, can each one of you tell us what you did for like volunteer work, and did you do any internships or courses that you would like to share?
No, don't say it.
Not saying it.
To be honest, no, I did do one intern. I think I did 2 internships. Never mind, I'm a little bit forgotten a bunch of these. But in my head, that the idea of doing volunteering, you have, like, looking back on it, I'm not going to say where I volunteered particularly, but I think that I didn't get the most value out of it. Okay. So in my head, it's unless you're extremely passionate about what you're volunteering in specifically, or unless you're like learning quite a bit, or you're bringing some value to the other person, whatever, I wouldn't suggest something like volunteering. I like looking back on it, I think that for many disciplines, it's better to do kind of like what Meghna has done, which is research. I think that's where a lot of value can be brought, especially if you're looking at an academic institution. Volunteering can help if there's like a very specific cause that can be your wow factor, but otherwise I seriously don't recommend it. I think oftentimes people have this idea that, I'm going to volunteer for 7 different random charities, but at the end of it, when someone's looking at your CV, they're like, this person did a bunch, but it's clearly just,
it looks like they're doing it just for college. Yeah,
right. And the point is that if there's some coherent narrative behind it, right, you wanted to destroy, like, whatever, you wanted to eradicate poverty, you wanted to cure some illness, right? There you can have some specific passion towards it. But so for instance, if like Meghna, since you're doing biology, if Meghna were to do something that's medicine related, that might make some sense. But if I were to do something medicine related, I'd just
that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't just do volunteering for the sake of it.
Okay. What about like internships and like courses, like online courses? Do you do something like that?
Online courses and internships, it depends on specifically which one it is. There are some good internships. I've not had great experiences with internships before. So just make sure you're either getting like a really nice brand name along with it, or you know that the internship is actually going to give you some value, right? So in that sense, I think be a little bit cautious because again, just have a plan in terms of what you want to do and what you want to see it look like. I think Nishka mentioned that point earlier, which is that you have to have something coherent from beginning to end. People need to say, this is who, for example, Harsh Venkat is, or this is who Shreya is, right? And if you aren't able to do that, and if your internship or whatever doesn't slot into that whatsoever, I really don't think that that's the most valuable thing you can do. Like at that point, it's even better for you to study for your PLP than it is to go for the internship. Right?
Okay.
So I just wanted to add a small thing here. So basically, I tried doing a few college courses, and to be honest, they were very taxing because I had no support whatsoever, and I was not understanding anything because I hadn't learned it. And there were so many conceptual gaps that had to be covered before I started learning that. So as Harsh mentioned, if you are just going to study for your PLP, it's better off than doing a college course, because I tried one from MIT and Stanford, and I had to spend like at least 3 to 4 hours every day just trying to figure out what to do, and then I had assignments and all of that to submit.
Right.
So it just became too taxing, and then moral degradation, as Nishka mentioned earlier. So it's better off you just focus on things that you're really interested into and you know what you can probably achieve. Because like I it was a big shot when I just enrolled for that course, and then the first 2-3 weeks were just introductions. It went easily, and then after 4th and 5th week I just lost it. So
Okay. What about, do you have something to add, Meghna?
Yeah, so I kind of disagree with what both of them said. I mean, with number one, with the volunteering thing, as much okay, it's true that colleges don't want you to volunteer somewhere just to add it to your application, but most colleges look for some kind of volunteering experience on your resume. So if you don't have that, it's not the worst case scenario, but it's kind. When I was talking about there's no typical template for an Ivy League applicant, there is a template for a college applicant, and most colleges do look for some type of volunteering experience. And you can relate it to what you want to study or what you're passionate about to make it to encourage you to actually go out and volunteer somewhere. But I would say that volunteering is an important part of the college application. Personally, I enjoy teaching, so I focus like my volunteering aspects around that. Like I've been teaching English at an orphanage with this organization for like 3 years now. And once I found that I was passionate about teaching younger kids, it kind of like settled the fact that I would like to do this across the years. Like I still do it now, it's online, and I probably will continue it in college. So I think if you find a specific volunteering activity that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, it doesn't have to relate to your major or anything like that. It could be completely different to what you're studying, and it doesn't really matter as long as you're passionate about it. So I do think volunteering is important. And about the courses, I personally took a course on neurobiology simply to like get a stronger base so I could move on to research and other projects, because I think they're kind of looking for something a little bit beyond a high school curriculum. Because see, when you're doing research, you're working with professors and people in institutions that have been doing this for a long time. So if they see something beyond your high school curriculum, they'll probably encourage them to take you on and let you shadow them. So I did a neurobiology course during like summer vacation, which I think it made it easier to balance everything. So I think if you prioritize what you want to get done and look towards your end goals, and you kind of do these courses and volunteering to kind of substantiate that end goal, I think you could work it out. So I would say that trying to go out and go beyond that specific, whatever you're going to study in college, go out and volunteer somewhere else, do a course on something else. I think it could be important in the long run.
Okay. What about you, Nishka?
So yeah, I agree with Meghna in that volunteering is important because it shows like an important side of your character, because universities want to know that you contribute to society, right? It's not just about you being up in yourself basically. So yeah, don't volunteer for the sake of it because it is very obvious, but again you can try and build a narrative around that as well. Like so I'm really passionate about like water quality and the ocean because I live right next to a lake, and there's a whole like thing behind that, right? So so once that integrates into the, like, you should make sure it fits into the rest of your application really well. So it's an important part, but it should also fit in really well, is my take on it. Another thing is that a lot of universities have volunteering as an essay question, so you kind of have to have something to write.
You're right.
If you have like a university you really want to go to, look at their essay questions. Like this year what happened was a lot of universities had a COVID question, right? Like, is there something special about COVID? And I didn't plan this, but I happened to do a lot of volunteering for COVID and like helping migrant laborers and things like that. So that sort of fit in really well because I had a place to talk about volunteering and it was relevant. So like, yeah, just make sure it fits into the application. As far as courses are concerned, like Meghna said it basically, they want to know that you have an additional commitment to your subject that's beyond just doing your school exams. So subject SATs help with that for me, because it showed that I was willing to put in that extra time and show them my proficiency in the specific subject. But yeah, I did do a course. I think courses are a good way of doing that, but they're not compulsory. A lot of people don't do them. If you think they're taking away from more important things, then don't. But if you want to show them that you're really interested in something and something that could help you with your career, then yeah, then you should go for it.
Okay. Nami, do you have something? I know you already said some stuff, but like about like maybe like internships, if you did any, or courses.
Oh, sorry if I was understood wrong before. I do insist on taking college classes, but that it's just that I couldn't get any help because I asked physics teacher from our school to help me out, and they weren't able to solve it for like weeks. So
Okay.
I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but if you get the right help and if you're motivated enough, you will be able to do it. So sorry about that. And yeah, internships and volunteering. I actually did a wide spectrum of them because I wasn't sure which subject I wanted to choose initially. So I did volunteering at like an organization that helped provide clothes and toys for children. So we would go around collecting stuff, cleaning them, and then giving it to the needy people. But I kind of figured that it was not my cup of tea eventually at the end of the day. So then I tried another volunteering where we went and worked at a turtle conservation on the beach in Chennai. So that I felt it was something different and I really liked doing it. But then I again figured out that at the end of the day, it is not what will get me my bread. So then I tried an internship at like a tech company at Garuda Aerospace. And that kind of really interested me. And that is what motivated me to take engineering. So yeah, internships and volunteering can sometimes benefit for choosing like a curriculum or like a major that you want to. But like, yeah, you should not always do it for just application purpose. And it's always good to have a diverse experience. You should also enjoy stuff. So I enjoyed when I volunteered at the NGO where we collected clothes, because we even had like a small retail store where people were allowed to like come and just have a shopping experience, but everything was free. So yeah, you should always have a diverse experience.
So basically, you did a lot of things, but at the end of the day, like maybe around 12th, you were sure that you want to do engineering. So like the volunteer work that you did that were like related to that, you put that in your application, right? Or did you put everything?
It's again a choice. You can put everything if you want. I just put the ones that I thought were important.